Welcome to Word of the Week. We continue our reflection on the parable of the prodigal son, better called the parable of the forgiving father, which comes as the third of the parables that Jesus tells recorded in Luke chapter 15, the parables of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and then the lost son. And we reflected last week on how the younger son's request for his share of his father's inheritance was a rejection of the worst possible kind. He was in effect saying, "Father, I wish you were dead because I want your stuff. I don't want you." And we saw how, in spite of this painful rejection, the father's love for his son was not diminished, even to the point of him tearing his life apart. And we pick up the story at verse 13. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he'd spent everything, there was a severe famine in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. The younger son goes off and squanders all that his father had given him in wild living. He blows his inheritance and all that had been entrusted to him. And when he's literally down in the dregs, and for a Jewish boy to be feeding pigs and wanting to eat their food is about as low as he possibly could get, he realizes how stupid he has been, and he comes up with a plan. Verse 17 is so poignant, so apposite for the work that we do in U-Turn. Verse 17, when he came to his senses. The love of his father that he had abused and rejected was still there in his memory. In the face of his present desperate predicament, that unconditional love of his father was still there, embedded in his soul. And that's what helped him to turn around. This gave him the push to return home to his father's house. In helping people find pathways out of homelessness, there needs to be those when he came to his senses moments. Those moments that move clients to move into the phase that we call change readiness. Those moments when, using Jesus' words in the parable, they come to their senses. This was so vividly portrayed in Emmanuel Vuma's film Absence and Substance, telling the story of Alistair Reynolds and his journey to recovery. For Alistair, it was the love of his mother that held on to him, that was key to him coming to his senses. For this younger, wayward son who abused his father's love, wasted his inheritance, squandered the opportunities offered to him, who indulged his every appetite, the key to his turnaround was his recall of his father's love and provision. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father." May this vivid image help us in our prayers for our clients. May they be pointed to God's unconditional love and kindness in the care and provision they receive at the service centers and the shelters, the PDT sites and the social enterprises, that will help them come to their when he came to himself moments, and hold them on course as they begin and continue their journey of recovery out of homelessness. May they be helped too to access the memories they have of the people the mothers, like Alistair, the grandparents, the school teachers, those who embodied that love and held a candle of hope for them that never let them go.